Hi everybody, my name's Steve Crow. Now we're presenting this webinar on behalf of Greytech. Have a look at AutoCAD snaps. Okay, now you're probably using AutoCAD already, using snaps, but let's delve into these snaps a bit deeper. But a bit about me first of all. My name, as I say, is Steve Crow. I've been with Greytech since January 1989, so been here maybe 35 years plus now, I think, somewhere around there. But yes, I like my motorbikes, into paragliding, and I keep bees as well. And I also like to get out and about, up the hills, walk in the hills and what have you, with my little lad there. We just did Snowdon in Wales not so long ago, and then Scarfell Pike early in the summer. Just got Ben Nevis in this country. They're going to go head to bigger and higher things, hopefully. Anyway, feedback from my training courses and these webinars is pretty good. One there, it's one of them there, look, it says from Tom, most useful tips and tricks I've ever had in CAD webinars. Used many of them already. And I like the one from Dominic there. He says, great content and the ability to make what might be considered by some a boring subject into an enthusiastic, interesting, and dare I say, entertaining experience. So yes, I'm an entertainer as well. And some of the feedback in there. So yes, I get decent feedback from both my courses and these webinars. So yes, if you haven't been in one of my training courses, get yourself along. The company, Greytech, well, we supply Autodesk software to help you guys build whatever you need to build, or design, or whatever it is you're doing. The company started in 1986. I joined them in 1989. And we're now an Autodesk Platinum Partner, which is the highest accreditation you can get with Autodesk. So we've got expertise both on the sales side and the technical side to make sure you guys are buying the right software, and then we can back it up with support and training afterwards as well. Some more facts and figures about the company. Okay, offices all over the world. We've got offices, our head office is in France. We've got several offices in the UK as well. Well, it says there 50 offices, probably more than that now, I would have thought. But, so yes, AutoCAD working with object snaps. Now there are different types of snaps. Running object snaps, grid snaps, polar snaps, object snap overrides. So, you know, what are these? People just think of snaps. They just say snaps to refer to snapping onto the end point of a line, for example. But there's more to it than that. Okay, so let's have a look then at snaps. Okay, and then when I finish this little webinar, I'll pop this screen back up on pop this slide back up on the screen again, so you can get my email address there, or take a picture of the QR code there. That gives you more information about company website and stuff like that. Right, let me get into my AutoCAD. So, first of all, let's just look at the bog standard running object snaps. Now, I know some of you guys may not have used AutoCAD already, but if I just go to open a drawing file, I can open a drawing file here. I'm just using my training file, so you might as well. Why reinvent the wheel? Fancy. This one here, for example. So we're going to draw and snap to the center of these circles using what's called the full title, and the full title are called running object snaps. Now the snaps are down in your status bar at the bottom there on what are called the drafting aids. That's this bar down here. Now you might notice on mine I have a lot of options turned on down there. Sorry, displayed down there. Now be careful, because out of the box, not all of them are displayed down there. And some of these settings will slow your machine down when you are working. So you need to go to the 3 bars in the corner, click on that, and make sure every last one is ticked. So you can see which ones are active. And this one here is the running object snaps. Now it's active now, look, because it's gone blue. But notice everything else is turned off. The only one that you would have turned on is this one here. Now I've got it turned off on mine because I've got issues with my graphics card on the machine. But anyway, little arrow at the side of the running object snaps, and it lists in there the snaps which are active, end point, midpoint. Now a lot of these are self-explanatory, so I'll just run with those for now. So I've got center turned on, look, center's turned on. So it will snap to the center, and also the endpoint snap at the top there is turned on. So these are the running object snaps. So when you go to draw, in here, look, it pops up with a marker on the end of the line there. And then it pops up a few seconds later with the snap that it's found there. Okay. Now notice I don't need to put my cursor inside that box. I might be telling some people things here that they already know, but bear in mind that there might be people who are logged in who don't know that. Now I don't need to put my cursor in. It has snapped accurately. Don't try and guess those points. As long as the marker's showing, click. The marker's showing, click, 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 click. So see how much easier it is to work with these. Click, and there we go. So those are your running object snaps. Okay, so you can snap around there. Now I'm going to turn on another snap, and I have polar turned on to keep it draw horizontally. And I'm going to turn on my intersection snap. So where my cursor intersects something else, it'll pick up an intersection snap. So now I can draw a line from the midpoint there, look. My cursor's not in the box, doesn't need to be. There's polar kicking in. When it intersects there, click, it'll find the intersection snap. Midpoint, intersection, down there, look. Now there's a snap in here called extension. So what does it mean by extension? Let me show you. Okay, so in here, supposing I need to put a rainwater pipe, which is stood off from the corner of the wall there. If I go to draw a circle, go near the end point, if I was to click now, it would click onto that end point and draw my drain pipe in the building. That's no good. Now with the extension snap turned on, I can hover over that corner, I put my cursor inside the box. When I move away, you can see it's left a blip on the screen. When my cursor's horizontal or vertical, in line with that, i.e. if I was extended, I could say type in a distance of 200 and it will start drawing that circle 200 away. So 200, press enter, and there it is, 200 away. Now it's a 100 mil down pipe, so I type in the radius 50 mil, and there's my rainwater pipe 200 mil away, or however much I set it away from that. It also works on sloping lines. So here, for example, if I say draw a circle and put my cursor in that on over there, look, it's put the blip on, there it is, lining up. There's the extension snap again. Okay. Now if I put my cursor back over that marker, it turns that blip marker off. So now it's not finding the extension snap anymore. So put your cursor over the marker there and it's turned it back on again, look. So if I type in 1000, it's starting that circle exactly a meter away from that corner with the extension snap down there, and it pops it in there, and I'll put another one in there. I know it's probably a big distance away now. And here, look, I'm going to use the extension snap to follow this wall plate across. So draw a line, hover over the corner, line it up across there, follow the wall plate across, and go up that valley there. So they are your running object snaps. Your running object snaps. Now, that's all well and good using these running object snaps. But what if it snaps to the wrong point? It gets the midpoint instead of the end point or something else. So, for example, supposing I want to draw a line from here, from the quadrant of this circle. Now, at the moment, it's not finding the quadrant. It's finding intersection, center, end point. There's all sorts of other snaps kicking on there, but not the quadrant snap. So what I can do is I can invoke what are called object snap overrides. And object snap overrides will override the current running object snaps down here. It'll override them. Okay, and to do that, I hold the shift key down. Well, one way to do it, hold the shift key down and do a right click on the mouse. And in that list, it shows me a list of snaps, including quadrant. Now, whichever one I pick in that list will override, hence the term object snap overrides, it will override whatever is set in the running object snaps. So if I select quadrant, it's now turned off center and midpoint and end point and everything else, and it's only looking for quadrants. So if I pick the quadrant, click, I've snapped the quadrant, and now those other snaps have all now jumped back in place again. End point, intersection, center, and so on. They've all come back on again. So it only works for one click. If I need to draw to this quadrant here, another shift key held down, right click, let go of all the keys, let go of the keys, and there it is, quadrant again, and go and pick this quadrant. So they are object snap overrides. Okay, shift key held down, do a right click. Let me show you another snap that's in this list of snaps here. Okay, one in here called parallel. How does that one work? Let me show you how. I'm going to draw a line which is parallel to this one here. Parallel to this one. Here we go. Line command. And draw a line from over here, look. Click. Now parallel is not set. Parallel is not set. If I go, no, it's not set, so it's not clicking. But I can do a shift right click and say, make it parallel, using overrides, make it parallel to this line here. I hover over it, don't click, just hover, and it's left one of those blips on the screen. When this line is parallel to that one, it comes with the construction line and it lights up on the one it's parallel to. Now I can click on the mouse, click, and there we go. Those two lines are absolutely parallel. I could have that set in my running object snaps as well. I'll turn it on there. So now it's set to turn on there as well. Line command, starting here, hover over this one, move away, and those two lines are parallel. And I can type in a length of how long it needs to be. I want it to be 10 meters long. And there it is, 10 meters long, parallel to that one. Now, if I simply wanted to copy this one a certain distance away, I'd probably use the offset command. But that will only make it the same length and the same start and end point. So I might have to extend it. But using the parallel snap, I can tell it where it starts and how long it needs to be and which one it needs to be parallel to. Okay, so that's using the parallel snap. So what other snaps do we have in here? End point, midpoint, center, they're self-explanatory. Geometric center, let's look at this running object snap. Okay, let me draw a shape using a polyline. There we go. There's a shape with a polyline, C to close. And as we all know, if you use a polyline, this is enclosed area. In the properties dialog box, it shows you what the area is. So it knows it's got an area. There it is, look. Now, supposing this is a big concrete slab or a steel plate, I want to pick it up from the centroid, the geometric center of this shape. Well, if I turn on the geometric center snap, I can draw a circle where I would sling this from a crane. There it is, look, click, and that's the geometric center. Okay. If I put that into a lathe centered on that point there, that would be the geometric center of the shape. And okay. And it would spin balanced. Obviously, if that was a big steel plate or a concrete slab, you wouldn't sling it from one point, you'd sling it from the corners, wouldn't you? Although I'm no slinger or whatever they call themselves, a guy, the people who rig stuff up on the cranes, I don't know. But there you go, that's a geometric center snap. What other snaps are in there? You've got insertion point of text and symbols, snap perpendicular to something, snap tangentially to objects. So if I have a couple of lines here, look, a couple of circles, there's one circle there, look, and I'll pop another circle there. And suppose it only draw lines. I'll do a shift right click, tangent to this one, and a shift right click, tangent to this one. And that is perfectly tangential there. Shift right click, tangent on the other side there, shift right click, tangent down there. Perfectly, oh, wrong way. Oh, hey, I messed that one up, didn't I? Okay, delete that one. Okay, let's try it again, a bit more careful. Shift right click, tangent. You need to be roughly where it's going to be. Shift right click, tangent, otherwise it throws a wobbly like that. Garbage in, garbage out. There we go. And then trim it down. There we go. Fancy new trim. Might do a webinar on that new trimming extending. Because for old hands at using AutoCAD, the new trim and extend commands drives them mad. If you want a webinar on trimming and extending, drop me an email. It's really useful, really is good. Right, what next? We look at next. Object snap overrides. So we've done the overrides. Now on the overrides, there's a useful tool, another snap in the override. Before I finish this, watch. If I draw a couple of rectangles there, and then I'll copy this one. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Copy that from there with polar turned on across to there. Question for the old hands who use AutoCAD. How would you draw a line down between the middle of those two? So there's two houses there. You need to draw the garden fence between them, or the fence down there to divide those two properties. What would you do to draw a line in the middle of there? Well, I suspect a lot of people would draw a line from endpoint to endpoint, endpoint to endpoint, and snap midpoint to midpoint. Yeah, reasonable. You get the required result. But let me show you here one of the object snap overrides. So, line command, shift right click, and there's one in here, look, snap to a point which is midway between two existing points. Okay, between 2 points. So, the 2 points being this one, click, and this one, click, and there it is. I found the point midway between the 2 points. And shift right click mid between 2 points again, click, click, and there's the center line fence done. Stops any arguments between neighbors sometimes. But yeah, how easy was that? No construction lines to go back and shift and remove. So on those shift right clicks, some really useful tools. Okay. Right, what other snaps we got in there? Polar snaps. Polar snaps. For you, the HVAC guys, using the polar snaps are really useful for fixing your elbows. So set it to 30 degrees, 45 degrees. So when you are snapping at angles, you don't have to get really weird and wonderful elbows made up specially. So how does this one work with your polar tracking? Again, I'm just going to open one of my drawing files, and this one is called a drawing called Pattern M. One of my training files using the training Pattern M. There it is, open it up. Right, turn off the settings down here. Don't need a grid. So with polar then, you are telling it an angle to snap to. And there's the polar on-off tool, polar tracking, polar snaps. And you can see in here, you have a range of standard angles. So if I go into the tracking settings, I can tell it the angles I want to snap at. 30 degrees, 45 degrees. So you're doing duct work, keep it at 45 degrees, otherwise you're going to get some wonderful duct angles. Or I might do 30 degree ducts as well, I don't know. If the angle you want is not in this increment list, you can just pick in the box there and type it in there. I don't know, I'll think of 22 degrees. There we go. So in the list now, we have, oh, okay, I know why. 22 degrees. Okay, on that. I'll look in here. It's gone to 23 degrees. Interesting. I'll just quickly cancel that. Units. Yes, my angle precision is, if I bump my angle precision up, might be better. Okay. Did I type in 22.5? Let's have a look. Tracking settings. No, I typed in 22. Okay, on that. Okay, don't ask. Right, now I could stop this because it's recording, but I won't. I'll crack on with it. Right, anyway, for the exercise, I need to have an extra angle in there as well. So go to tracking settings. Down here, look, you can set additional angles. Now, the additional angles are one hit angles. If I say, yeah, turn on the additional angles and type in here 35 degrees, when it snaps around from 0, don't forget, which is at 3 o'clock, it'll hit 0 degrees, then 35 degrees, and then I want to set this increment angle to 45. an increment angle of 45 degrees, and then 90 and multiples of 45. It won't give me 70 degrees. There's just a one hit angle. So do an OK on that. Oh, sorry, I should just tell something else in here as well. Tracking settings. In here, the angles will be relative to the last segment or relative to the horizontal. Now, if you're a ductwork guy, you want it to be relative to the last segment. So watch out for that. Not a lot of people know about that one. So if the angle is already, say, 20 degrees and your polar angle increment is set to 45, it'll still get you your 45-degree angles on your ductwork and pipework if it's already at 20 degrees. So watch out for that one there if you're doing HVAC stuff. Well, anything for that matter. Just be aware of how it's measuring the angle. Okay on that. Right, so here we go then. So if I say draw a line from there, come across, and I type in, I don't know, type in 190. Okay, so it's drawn across 190. And as I move my cursor around, look, there's 0 degrees. There's the 35 degrees, it tells you on the screen. There's my 45 degrees, and then multiples of 45 degrees, look. There's 90, and a multiple of 45 is 135, obviously 180. Come back around again, there's the angle of 225, and then 270, and back round to 315 degrees, and there's my back to 0 degrees. So that's your polar angles. Okay, your polar angles. Okay, so that's polar tracking with that tool there. Useful tool for doing pipework and ductwork. Right, now it's okay drawing with these angles and snaps, things like that, but sometimes you need to place an item which is where a couple of objects line up. So for example, I want to draw something just in here where those two lines, that line meets up with that one there. Now there is nothing there. Now people would just draw a line, would normally draw a line from, with my snaps turned on, draw a line from there across to there, and another line from there down to there to find the intersection to draw the objects there. Now that's old school, you don't need to be doing that. You need to be using a tool called Object Snap Tracking, and it's the tool to the left of your snaps. There it is, look. If I click on that, that's turned on my snap tracking, and watch how this works. So if I say draw circle, where this corner, now there's the extension snap. It's not an extension snap because it doesn't work horizontally, look. This is Object Snap Tracking. It works from 2 directions or more, and there we go. When those two line up, click, and it popped my circle in there. I'll try it again here, look. Hover, hover, and line them up, click, and draw my circle. Now if I hover, it puts the mark on the screen there. Hover, and it's put the mark on. If I zoom or pan around, it turns those marks off. So you can turn them on. If you've got too many turned on, and there's all sorts of things flashing up on the screen. So it's now lining up with that, there's all sorts of things flashing on the screen. You might get the wrong pick point. If you zoom in and out, there you go, it's turn them all off. And then hover, hover, line it up, and press the enter key to draw the circle. So that's Object Snap Tracking. Okay. What about a grid snap? A grid snap. So those of you who do P&IDs, schematics, process flows, and that kind of thing, you need to be working to a grid. Now, if I turn the grid on, there it is. It's down here. Look, there's the grid on the screen. I just zoom in. There we go. Zoom to there, look. And you can also turn the snap to this grid as well. There's the turn the snap to the grid. So turn that on as well. Okay. Now you don't need these on anymore. You don't need these on anymore. Because now it'll snap to this grid on the screen. Now you might think, well, why is it not snapping? Because my cursor is moving smoothly across the screen. And the reason is I'm not in a command that can use it. So if I go into, say, the rectangle command, now okay, just check my snap settings. In my snap settings, there we go. My snap settings. Zoom out. Oh, rectangle command. I can now go and draw on that grid. Look, I can go and draw on the grid. There we go. I'm cocking this up somewhat rotten. And it's snapping to those grid points, look. Snapping to those grid points on the screen. Okay, I should have set it up really. But you can get a consistent size with those objects. That's not consistent. Oh dear. If I grab that polyline there and pull it down the grid. There we go. Drag it down. Drag it down. You can see what I'm trying to achieve here. Okay, but not making a very good job of it. There we go. So, keeping it consistent. Okay, so when you're placing symbols or anything like that, it'll be in a consistent spacing between them, working together. So that's useful for PIDs, schematics, and that kind of thing. Okay, right now, another tool I'll show you with your snaps is something called tracking. If I just open another drawing, I know the settings are correct. Open this drawing up. Okay. So if I just draw myself a rectangle, starting there at 380, 200. There's a rectangle drawn. Supposing I need to place a hole or a slot or something in here, which is a certain distance away from this corner, and in here. Now there's nothing lining up, so I can't use object snap tracking. I can't use object snaps. I need to find something in here. So I can use a tool called tracking. Watch how I use this tool. So I want to track from this corner along by 50 and then up by 40 to define an area in here. Now, you could do it by using the offset command, but I need to explode that rectangle first, another step. When I did the offsets, that would have created more construction lines. So I have to go back and erase afterwards. So watch how I draw this circle using a tool called tracking. So circle command. When it says where's the center point, I turn on tracking with the letters TK and hit the enter key. So on the command line now it says tracking first point. When my object snaps turned on, I can click on the corner here, look. Click, and it's tracking across the screen, look. Left or right, or up or down. Okay, so if I track across to the right and type in 50, hit enter, I can now track up or down. If I track up by 40, there we go, and I can track up, down, left, right, backwards, forwards, anywhere I want until I reach my destination and hit the enter key, and it starts drawing the circle with a radius of 13. So there we go, there's one slot drawn, one hole drawn. I do the same thing again, circle, turn on tracking, click the corner and track across by 100, okay, and up by 40. There's the next circle drawn. Circle center radius, TK for tracking, click the corner, come along by 50, come down by 40. There's the next circle, circle, TK for tracking, click the corner, come across 100, come down by 40. And there's my two circles. My two circles are created. So now with my quadrant snap, I'm going to create a couple of slots here. Quadrant is turned on and draw a line. Quadrant to quadrant, quadrant to quadrant, quadrant to quadrant, quadrant to quadrant, and then trim those out just like that. And there's my slots created. No construction lines, didn't have to explode the outline. So using tracking, so TK to turn it on, it It just helps, makes the job easier. Now your snaps down there, you can turn your snaps on and off down there, because sometimes when you're working, it'll kick in with a snap point. You don't want it to kick in. I'm going to draw from there or just there, look, and the snaps are kicking in. But if you press the function key F3, it turns the snaps off. So you can go and draw, and then function 3, F3, and then turn it on. Function 3, key F3, it's now turned off. Look, I can draw on there, look. Function key F3, it's turned back on again. Now, I'm in an area there, and there's lots of snaps kicking off. Have you had the situation where you're trying to snap to something, and it goes to the wrong snap point? You want intersection instead of end point, you want midpoint. Now, while it's got the snaps on the screen, if I start pressing the tab key, watch what happens. So I've left my mouse alone, I'm just pressing the tab key, and it's jumping around all these snap points in that area and gradually working its way out over from where my cursor is. You see that, look? An end point, and it highlights the object. So if you've got concentric circles and you pick in the middle, how do you know which circle it's snapping to the center of? The answer is you don't, and yes, you press the tab key and it'll jump around all those points, look. Tab, 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 until it gets to the right one. There we go. I'm going to get the corner of the rectangle, not those lines, because those lines may be incorrect. My rectangle is highlighted, it's showing the endpoint snap, and now I click with the mouse. And I know that's accurately found that endpoint of the rectangle, and not that mishmash of lines that are in there, which could be inaccurate. Could be inaccurate. So pressing the tab key, it cycles around all the snaps in the area. And don't forget F3 to turn those snaps on and off. Okay, guys and lasses, I shall leave you there. So my time's up. So as I say, if you do have any questions or queries on anything I've covered there, just drop me an email, or any ideas for future webinars. As I say, just drop me an email or scan the QR code there and have a look at the training courses. I do all of this in the training courses. I give people suggestions, tips and tricks. And if you've been using AutoCAD for a few years, you're maybe not fully aware of the new features in the later versions and the ease of use with your trims, now your extends, now those have changed in the later versions. And yeah, don't be changing it back to what it was. I know you can do if you wish, but you know, embrace the new features in there. Get booked on one of our update courses or a workshop, a one-day workshop or whatever. The next 2 days I'm doing a training workshop for a company. They're sending the guys along, get them up to speed with the new features and the new tools and all the hundreds of shortcuts I'll be able to show you as well. Okay, right, catch you later folks. Cheers.